Hello, my name is Marnita Harris, and I am the Vice President of Economic Equity and Inclusion here at the Detroit Regional Chamber. This series, which features important voices from the business community, highlights the Detroit Regional Chamber's belief that fair distribution and access to wealth foster innovation, it attracts talent, and contributes to the economic prosperity of the region and ultimately to the bottom line of businesses. And today I am joined by Markeith Weldon. Markeith is the chairman and the CEO of Nexusmind. Thank you, Markeith, for taking the time to discuss how economic fairness, access, and inclusion can affect the bottom line, and just to learn more about you and Nexusmind and how you are moving in this space. So I'll open by saying, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Nexusmind.
Well, again, thank you, Marnetta, and thank you for the Chamber for giving me this opportunity and privilege to kind of speak on this topic. Myself, first, Markeith Weldon. I'm a native Detroiter, born and raised in this great community and region, product of UOD Jesuit High School, and I've been in this community all of my life. I came back after college to work as a young executive in the automotive industry. I got the itch and the leap of faith back almost 15 years ago and launched my own company here in this region. And it's been a great opportunity for not only myself, but for those employees that support our organization. Nexusmind Technologies was born out of a need for opportunity for us being a African-American IT firm to scale to the next level. We worked several years with some of the very strategic organizations like the National Minority Supplier Development Council, along with some of our large banking clients and many others, because there was a need to be able to amplify and highlight African American and Latino owned companies at the enterprise solutions level. We saw a gap there. They had a need for more minority spend. So we built this joint venture called Nexusmind Technologies, is what you see today. Again, to amplify underrepresented communities at a different level of support for our clients and our partners.
So, why does economic equity and inclusion matter to your organization? And why is it important to the Detroit region?
Yeah, for us, we're built from, as I just articulated to you, not only Weldon, but Nexusmind was built out of economic equity opportunities that were afforded to us. To our organization, it directly shapes the environment in which we operate, we hire talent, and we build long-term partnerships with the community and with our business community. We look at it from a perspective of diversity of perspective fuels innovation. We're in the IT business, and we know that you need a diverse perspective of understanding and different opinions to really strengthen what we call around problem solving, and ultimately it improves the outcomes to our clients and to our partners and the obviously people that we serve. So it's extremely important to us internally. We grow. Many of our opportunities are grown through a lot of the access that we give our team, the ability to have some autonomy with their own perspective to kind of grow that. Simultaneously with the Detroit region, I mean, we look at the economic equity as foundation for sustainable growth, as you just articulated earlier. The thing about underrepresented communities like Detroit, we're addressing systemic gaps that we have to address, because if we address these systemic gaps, we can unlock basically approximately $28 billion in additional revenue to this region. And it ensures that all the residents, no matter what race, geography, for them to be able to fully participate in generational wealth and participate in this economy in our region. So that is why we believe in economic equity for our organization, but most importantly, how it impacts the region that we do business.
Yes, because it just really refers to fair and just distribution of resources
That is
and
correct.
opportunities and just access, and regardless, like you say, of the background or circumstances.
Hmm.
So with that, how can you talk about any of the, like what you just talked about, how has that benefited your organization, like any practices or initiatives that you have at Nexusmind that you having that inclusive and providing access mindset has benefited your organization?
Well, it's benefited us tremendously. I mean, as I indicated to you just before, we were born out of economic equity. Um, People who had a vision, they understood the value that we were bringing to the table. We weren't just there symbolically. We were there because it was true performance and the ability to create tangible results for our clients and our partners. When we look at our organization and how we benefited, uh, NMSDC,
Hmm.
those organizations like that have really fostered our growth, created access to and building bridges to the larger Fortune 100 companies that were very focused on creating economic equity for companies like ours. Again, diversity gets us through the door, but we have to perform.
Right.
So being a high performer, looking at high quality performance out of our teams, that's priority number one for me as a leader. I have to be a good steward over what God has blessed me with. And we look at that opportunity to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. And if diversity opens the door, we step through that door. So that's who we've been since the inception, and we will continue to be that. But to your point, in the ways that we've benefited, you know, stronger partnerships, stronger partnerships with institutions like one of the largest banks in the world. We are a tier one diverse supplier, but they prioritize equity and they open doors to collaborate for opportunities and help us grow while at the same time contributing to their strategic goals and their expansion and growth. So it's a two-way street when you really have a partner who understands or a company that understands your value. Secondly, more innovative workforce. We look at that from a standpoint. If we have inclusive practices internally, it'll attract and retain talent and bring in more diverse, experiences that allow us again to solve complex problems for our customers. We all don't know the answer, so you have to cast a wider net
Mhm.
to be able to bring in those individuals who can have those answers to those questions that our partners and customers may have. Again, we talk about benefit of greater market insight. When we're working with communities and business across, this economic spectrum, we look at it, clear understanding of what the needs are. Being in technology, if we're connected with their customers and we're speaking to them about their needs, it's easy for us to design solutions that are relevant and impactful to what they're trying to accomplish. And then lastly, it's just shared growth. I mean, we look at it as a partner, we invest equity, creates opportunity for our firm, but also helps us scale alongside our
Mhm.
partners. Actually, I'm in a current program that I do want to mention because you highlighted how do we benefit. Well, NMSDC has been one, but I'm currently Nexusmind. I'm currently in a program that Ernst & Young is sponsoring called Entrepreneur Access Network, which is emerging enterprises like ours, giving us access to the global resources of a large entity like Ernst & Young, but they're opening and building bridges again to create that equitable engagement by companies like ours coming from the underrepresented communities.
Like you said, you're in the Ernest and Young program, and congratulations for that. Because
Thank you.
where you have opportunities to access that kind of knowledge, you'll be able to dispel it down or share it down with others. And I just wanted to go back to the thing you said about talent and being able to attract and keep the talent. I
Mhm.
was on a conference board session about, I think it was about a month ago, and where they were putting out stats, and it says that it is important to the upcoming talent that I think it was at least 60% of
Mhm.
the folks that they interview, which were, I would say they were Y's and Z's, that component is very important to them to work in a place that allows diversity of thought, where they can see inclusion. That's important to the up and coming talent base. So that's a very important thing for us to keep in the forefront of our mind as we're building and trying to scale up, our organizations, that the generation coming behind us, that is very important to them.
That is
And
correct.
yes, and so I want to ask, what is your organization? What might you be doing to contribute to a more inclusive region outside of everything else? Is like, is there anything you're doing, like programs in the community, or any a lot of people I've talked to have been doing some volunteer efforts to show, because I think about the technology deserts. And I was excited to be on this call with you because I said we can talk about technology deserts, and how, what would be your advice to address those things, the technology deserts that are located in our state, but just generally?
Yeah, and I thank you for that. I actually finished talking on a topic a few days ago on this. Literacy is everything to me. Education is the foundation of change. I know if you have education, you have knowledge of, you can change your circumstances. I'm a firm believer, and my motto is always, and you'll hear me anytime you hear me speak, is keep the ladder down. It is my responsibility as a good steward, a child of God, to keep the ladder down, because when I'm afforded opportunity to move to the next level, to expand my knowledge and understanding and those who work with me, I have a responsibility and obligation to keep that ladder down, to assure other minority firms, other underrepresented communities have access to these resources, to really gain that confidence that they can move themselves to the next level. When it comes to hiring, we're very intentional. When we look at how we engage our community, we're hiring from their local community. We're creating programs to create access. Even though our joint venture is only 24, almost 36 months old, we'll be here for a while. The company that I've been around for over 20 years in this community as a business leader and supplier. So I've embedded Nexusmind in our community. We're taking the next step to just bring our flagship headquarters. We'll be in Paradise Valley.
That's great.
Yep, so we'll be putting our headquarters, Paradise Valley, here in a couple months. You'll be a part of that as well. But that's our commitment to the local community, to make sure that we open doors and make sure we are accessible to individuals who want to work in technology, who want to clearly understand technology. AI literacy is key to what we're trying to do. We understand that the digital divide is consistently always been wide in our underrepresented communities. People don't have access to internet. You don't have access to laptops and things of that nature. Imagine now on top of that, you now have to be introduced to AI. So that gap is widening. How do we continue to shrink that by ensuring that our residents, our underrepresented groups in our community have access to AI literacy and financial literacy? These things go hand in hand for me. If you understand your finances, you now understand the emerging technologies, and you know how to use them in your day-to-day life. It's different from consumer AI and enterprise AI. You and I, because we sit in business circles, we talk about enterprise AI all the time. But as I did an article with Michigan Chronicle, I said that the consumer AI had been introduced improperly. It was introduced as a cheat sheet shortcut. It's really an enhancer if you partner with it properly. I just heard a term called, rather than human in the loop, it's the human on the loop, right? I got that from, I'll tell you, I got that, but human on the loop. But to make sure it's a partnering strategy to bring our communities, rise them up from where they've been for so long and not having access to even create opportunity for themselves. So I can be on my soapbox on this topic.
Yes,
I love my community. I love what we're trying to do, but we will be, one of the leaders in making sure that we create access to our local community when it comes to those two areas.
Well, I am excited for everything you just said, and the resurgence of Paradise Valley is very, very important. I am a Detroiter as well, born and raised.
Amen.
So
Amen.
I'm very vested myself in anything that is going to pull us up to the next level and make us competitive and make us a place where people want to live, work, and play. And that is, very important. And we need to be cognizant and aware that those gaps exist, and we must face those nationally. There's a thing called the ACCE, and that's the Association of Chamber Executives for nationally, and they have a whole program where they get us on calls so they can talk about what we're learning in the AI space. And the chamber is starting AI hours.
Yes.
That's coming up. And so it's just really important because it's moving really fast, and we need to have experts and executives and leaders like you at the table to make sure that we're bridging those gaps. So I'm just excited to hear all that.
Without a doubt, we're excited to participate.
So, are there any other programs that you're engaged in that you would like to share with us?
Oh, definitely. I mean, what's near and dear to me is emerging technology. At Nexusmind, that we're on the cutting edge of innovation and bringing new products to the market, but we can't do that without talent and that talent pipeline. Essentially, in our local area, I'm sitting on the advisory board for Empower, which is a nonprofit focused on IT certification for 18 to 34-year-olds and veterans. This is a national program, but we have our own chapter here in Detroit that we've effectively put many cohorts of young people, 18 to 35 and veterans, let me make sure, through this program to enhance their skills in these specific emerging technologies of AI, machine learning, business intelligence, all of these things that are moving the landscape of opportunity. We want to make sure that they were in touch with that. So I definitely have been doing that. And of course, DAPCEP, I work in conjunction with DTE. I was myself a part of the Real McCoy Award. So I'm part of that community. But I just wanted to highlight on how we're attacking these deserts that you spoke about earlier, the opportunity that we need to plug in and create new opportunity for these young people. So thank you for that.
Okay, that is great. That is great. And I'm loving that the veterans are engaged as well, because between veterans and our returning citizens, we really need to have better support for them. And so that is great. You're providing them a skill set that is in high demand, needed, and they're learning and can also share that learning with other people. So that is great. That is very, very great. I'm glad you shared that. Okay. And so my closing question was like, go ahead.
I just want to add, because again, we keep talking about gaps, and again, our community have been plagued with these systemic gaps for so long. I just always talk about the upside. If everybody's included, right? If everybody has access, if everybody has resources, Michigan itself, we stand to gain approximately 92 billion in economic output by 2050 by closing these racial equity gaps. If we be very intentional, and we can work together, because it's a win-win for everyone involved. It's, even though it may seem like, it's contentious environment right now, DEI is under attack, things of that nature, but it's a great time for collaboration. Right? Yes. Collaboration built on performance and value of one another's of assets and ability to grow the region. I think we're in a great position to do that if we are very intentional about doing so.
And intentionality to me is what get things done. Just not pie in the sky, not fairy dust, and just opining around things. Intentionally coming together with a plan and actualizing that plan is what's important. So thank you for making sure that we got that part in. Now, the one thing I want to close with is, if I am watching this and I hear this talk, and I'm a leader in an organization. Um, what should I start doing to say, okay, um, no matter what industry I'm in, what would be your advice to say, hey, if you want to move the needle, if you want to affect your bottom line, how do I look at my organization as a whole, in a talent, in an attraction type of way? How do I look to provide access? How do I do an assessment of my organization, or just any advice you would give someone if they want to say, okay, this has been on my mind, how should I get started?
And thank you for that question. It doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what your race is, you can move the needle. Let me be very clear. You can move the needle if you're intentional about moving the needle, and if you are committed to moving the needle. So first and foremost, I have to say that as the premise. I would also tell that business leader, you can't solve all the challenges. Okay. Right. Okay. So don't think you have to come out the gate and try to solve everything at once. Right. Take a specific area or a specific challenge that your organization, which may identify a specific equity gap that intersects with your business and your business goals, and say it could be talent development, it could be supplier diversity, it could be community investment, and commit to measurable action on that one specific gap, right? Consistency is going to build your credibility internally, and credibility is going to build momentum, so that now, though, everyone begins to see it. Starts at the top. As the leader of my organization, I have to be a good steward over what has been placed before me, but my vision has to be accepted by the team, and they have to be on board to ensure and have confidence that I'm taking us in the right direction. So all of the things we discussed today are near and dear to me because I've been directly impacted and directly benefited from these things. So I have the ability to tell these leaders, grab one that intersects with your business goals and make sure that you're consistent in how you go after embedding that into the culture of your environment and to your organization.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, I just want to thank you for lending your important voice to this series. Again, Markeith Weldon, Chairman and CEO of Nexusmind. He is also just active in the chamber, very much so, but his voice is a voice that I wanted to bring to the table, especially from the technology sector, because there's a lot of discussion of you're having gaps in employment, gaps in this, but this is the up and coming thing, and what already has been there. But when we got to talking about the AI, the deserts, and not having the access, this is a conversation that doesn't come as much as I think it should, because we are in 2026. I mean, by 2030, what would that look like? So we really, really need to be addressing these areas, especially this area of technology. So I thank you again so much. I appreciate you.